Hey guys, it's Purple Ferret here. I'm recording this several hours after this video was supposed to go up because my air conditioning has been broken for 2 whole weeks since I uploaded the last one. Actually, found out it was broken as I was trying to upload the last one, and I've been putting off drawing and recording and editing the next one, hoping that it would have gotten fixed before now, but it hasn't. And in order to avoid my laptop overheating, I've not been doing everything all in one go, even though I've been finished with the drawing and I edited down the video and sped it up and cropped it properly and stuff. I still haven't gotten the chance to record my voiceover for the video, which kinda sucks. You may recognize these characters from another speed draw I did a couple months ago. This is Anna and Claude from the previous video. I'm not sure exactly how much I talked about in the last one. I know a general idea of what I talked about in the last one and where I stopped in terms of lore, but I'm not sure how much I can do to continue without being majorly spoilery. But I'm going to basically get into what the real premise of the story is versus the very beginning of the story of how they met. A quick interjection here. So my laptop overheated and it really scared me, and I just had to let my laptop cool down, and I was kind of afraid to touch it because the screen went really wonky. I was scared that I lost my laptop because I was trying to make this video. So I stopped trying to make this video. I'm going to be doing this in multiple parts, so it's going to come out really late. And I don't even know if the next video is going to come out because AC's not supposed to be fixed for another 2 weeks. Lucky me. So, yeah, back to your regularly scheduled program. Now, I'm gonna do a quick recap just to make sure that you all know without having to go back to the other video and rewatch it if you watched it, or watch it the first time through if you haven't watched it. Both of these characters are androids. Anna is more of a perfect android where she perfectly recreates what a human looks like. She can eat. She has skin that looks like human skin. She physically grew up in front of people. So a bunch of people saw the smooth transition from her being a kid to being an adult. So they have no reason to suspect that she's not human. And she was specifically built to do that, which is why she has a kid form. And she was given safeguards to prevent her from growing too fast, but because she was very obedient, their creator never put safeguards to prevent her from aging backwards. And so she uses that to trick Claude, and Claude was supposed to be her, except the guy that made them realized that he looks a little bit too much like him, which doesn't fit with the story of adoption that he was going with. He was thinking it'd just be easier to decide to make a little girl because he was like, I have to make a couple tweaks to the design anyway, so I might as well just start over. So basically, Claude was supposed to be what Anna is, but he didn't end up being that because now Anna exists. So Claude before thought she was a real little girl, and even though he was pretending to be nice and was going to betray her, he doesn't like her even more now that he knows that she tricked him and stole half his face, which is why in the second one he's missing half his face. The concept of this piece is basically she stole his face as a souvenir, as a show of I rebelled against you, father, type thing, to like get back at him for not leaving her the company that he owns, even though it makes sense both from a perspective of her being not human and her not having any qualifications if she was human. Back to explaining the concept. In the first half, it's Claude and Anna fooling each other, being completely dishonest to each other, and it looking like a very sweet moment. And then you come over here to the truth, which is a lot uglier, and she's come back from stealing his face and been like, "Hey, big brother, I need your help." And he's like, "No. One, we're not siblings. Two, get out." And Anna's like, "Listen, listen, listen. I know we got off on the wrong foot. Several wrong feet. I'll admit that. But I need your help, and I think you'll want to help." And this is the part where I explain what their plan is and how exactly it might work, but I'm not going to tell you whether or not it works or not, because that's something I want to save for later whenever I do actually tell the story. So essentially, the concept of the story is they're going to work together to destroy / take over their creator's company. And the way they're going to do that is Anna wants to take Claude, make him more like her, but specifically make him look just like the guy that is going to be receiving the company. Because if he looks just like him and acts like him and has control of the company, then Anna has control of the company because her and Claude are working together. She rationalizes that they want the same things because he wants revenge. He was going to do it in one of the worst ways possible because it wouldn't have a lasting effect. But they have two options. They can either run his company into the ground and kill it, which would crush him knowing he picked the wrong successor, or they could get silent revenge and them running the company in the background with their own self-interests. Anna does eventually get him to agree and gives him the other half of his face back. And a majority of the story is spent on getting Claude ready to take over by teaching him the mannerisms and making him look like him and replicating his voice. Essentially, Anna is going to leave the bunker, learn about the guy, and come back, teach him, modify the way he looks, and teach him how to look and sound like him. Be like, you have to stand with this posture, you have to pronounce this word this way. Basically, just every small little detail she's trying to gather about him. And as much as I want to say more, I can't say more without spoiling the story because you won't know whether or not it goes well for all time, whether it fails spectacularly, whether it works for a little while and then fails spectacularly. Will they take down the company or will they run it? Who knows? I'm not telling you what way their plan is going. What I can tell you is a little bit about the drawing process. So, in March of last year, I drew 2 sketches that were very similar to this on separate pages. They weren't anywhere close to each other. And then this year, I decided to redraw them because my art has improved. The way I draw them has shifted a little bit. And then after I redrew those on paper, I brought them in and I edited them a little bit because there were a couple of issues with them that would have needed completely redrawn. Like, for example, her shoes were blending in a lot with his knees in the one where she's a kid. It was pretty easy to fix digitally, but it was very difficult to fix on paper, so I did it here instead. Also, the spacing between them and where they were in relation to each other needed shifted around a bit because the 2 drawings were on the same page near each other, but the scaling and positioning between them wasn't meant to be viewed as one until I decided I was going to put them together as one. I technically could have left them the way they were on the paper for real and drawn it, but it wouldn't have been the most satisfying composition because I really like the offset that I gave it because I think it works better. As for coloring, I color picked directly from the last piece I did for Claude, but for Anna, I made a reference sheet for Art Fight this year, and I changed her colors a little bit because I did it on a completely different device, and I really liked how the purple looked for her black hair. Her hair's not really purple, but I thought having them have two different tones of black, where his is more true black and then she has a purpley black that's lighter, I felt like it helped aid in her softness as a kid, and having her hair color change for an adult didn't make sense, so she has the same hair color. And it adds to like the innocence of her character that's not real innocence, but perceived innocence. That's part of why she has a tooth gap, which you can't see in either of her poses here, which is kind of sad. But the reason she has the tooth gap is because it makes her look cutesy and friendly. I almost gave Claude a tooth gap too and make it be like that's the seam running down the middle of his face and it goes through his teeth, and it be a hint that she was also like him. But I didn't want it to be too obvious because even though I just told you and such, in the story, like the first part of the story is going to be very unclear about her being an android until he finds out she's an android. And then we're going to get her backstory, and then we're going to get into the real meat of the plot. So technically, me telling you she's an android is a spoiler, but that's where all the cool stuff happens, and it happens pretty early in the timeline anyway, so it doesn't matter. I also decided that I wanted Anna to be backlit in the second one. I wanted them lit from above in the first one so that they're equally lit and like it looks like a more genuine moment than it is. And then in the moment where she is being genuine, it's soured by the fact that she was disingenuous in the first place. Technically that they were both disingenuous in the first place, but despite his disingenuousness being a lot worse than hers, which hers was a defensive lie, which feels more morally correct than his. But despite that, she is choosing to offer her trust back to him and be like, hey, we got off on the wrong foot, but I need your help. And so she's backlit because it both makes her look glowing like she's giving him a second chance, not from our angle, obviously, but then also casts her face in shadow immensely so that she looks more intimidating when you're focused on the fact that she's backlit. Anna is unironically his ticket out of there, and Claude knows this, and that's part of why he agrees, is because he gets revenge on the man that built them, and he gets to get out of the basement, which, you know, if I'd been living in a basement my whole life, I went out of there any chance I got to. I'm doing my best to try and fill time because I want to get this done as fast as possible, because now it's Sunday and I'm still not done recording my voiceover, which is annoying. I just realized that this is the first time that you've seen grown-up Anna, because I haven't drawn her for YouTube before, and I don't think I've posted her on Tumblr either. So this is the first time that anyone online is really seeing grown-up Anna, aside from Art Fight, because I'm recording this after Art Fight is concluded, because it is the second. Technically, there's a few more hours left, but it's really kind of over. I really hope you enjoyed this video because I had a lot of fun making it. Gonna do a shorter segment of the before and afters. Here's the sketch of what I did on paper. You can kind of see what I meant by the composition wasn't quite right and some things needed redrawn. Like her foot was in a different position. Her head on her adult form needed shifted around. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video and that you'll come back for the next one, and I'll see you then. Bye!